This is the perfect opportunity to discuss this topic today and my perspectives on artistic expression. I want to discuss my own acting experience in the acting community. I want to tell you what opportunities that there are and the lack of opportunities as well. My perspective of artistic expression is a lot of different responsibilities and judgments that are involved. Those different responsibilities and judgments come up all the time, and you need to react or not react in specific situations. And many people have different perspectives when you talk about artistic expressions. And for me, it seems like deaf actors are at the bottom of this, and that's what we're going to discuss today. The first aspect of artistic expression is access and different employment opportunities, and how deaf people should have the same work opportunities as hearing people. And my experience with access during employment, equal opportunities has been a big part of my childhood and upbringing. And the concept of new actors and how to connect each community when we are children. And you get the actors that were trying out or not auditioning for the role, and the management and the whole team. And you discuss together about how it went. And remember, this is the 70s, okay? So I felt really uneasy, and I had two options for the audition. I was either able to lip read and say, yeah, okay, and be really confused, or I could be honest and let them know that I'm not comfortable doing that. That sign language is my preference and what I prefer in communication. And that's how I communicate naturally, and that's what I want to do for this role. And I can tell that they were judging me and saying, okay, but again, I was saying that lip reading would involve a lot of notes handing back and forth, which isn't effective. And they said, okay, that I could use ASL, so I was really relieved about that. And it was pretty great. They gave me lots of feedback, and they had a lot of different ideas, and I spent 32 years acting there, and it was a positive experience. But now I want to discuss what's the frustrated experience and parts of that role that I had to play. Remember, this is back in the 70s. There was a movie coming out with a deaf character, and the goal of the character was involving becoming a ballerina. And so I was really excited about this. I thought I was perfect for this role because I am deaf and I have the skills to learn how to dance and to become a ballerina. And so I asked a professional dancer and hired her and practiced really hard and asked if she could train me. And so I raised my hand and I said I wanted to do it and I want to become an actor and a ballerina for this role. And she said no. And so I didn't get the audition, and I asked, was there another deaf actor that got the position, and there wasn't. It was actually a hearing girl who got the part. Her name was Amy Irving. She was really popular at the time because she was the wife of Steven Spielberg. And the movie was called Voices. My rights for equal access in employment is something that I needed to be confident and express, to voice for myself, and it was a challenge for me. And it's still a challenge for me today. That happened in the 1970s, but my skills as a deaf actor began to grow. And it was a different process and progress. And it started off pretty small and I struggled a lot, but I was able to become more skilled as the older that I got. There was a hearing actor named Amy, I'm not sure the last name, and she was really talented and hired for a lot of roles. And I really looked up to her when I was starting my acting career. But her goal, it was clear that her goal was to make money in the business. Whereas it was my goal to be more focused on the acting and not so much the money. There's many opportunities for equal access as the years went on, but a lot of situations were not fair and not fair for me either. It was hard because to make a manager role, you had to make your way up in the business. And James Bradley was an actor back then, and he was a deaf actor. And his skills began to become more creative, and you could hear music, and it wasn't ideal for deaf people because you were living in a fantasy world because you couldn't hear the music. And many of those situations weren't fair as well. Different ideas and the cost of the interpreter, it just wasn't ideal and it wasn't fair. And you asked people for help and for feedback, and you weren't getting that support that you needed. For example, I went to his house and agreed that I would show up. And there are many different actors, and they asked me if I read lip read lips, and I said no, I can, but it's hard for me to explain information by just reading lips. And I explained how it was really expensive to hire an interpreter, and that reading and writing notes was not an effective way. But to improve that idea, I had to find a way and a solution that worked for everybody. Next, I'm going to talk about honesty. And we were proving that ASL, we have a right to our own language, which is ASL. We didn't know what to do about it. And we talked about the background and your family and where you went to school and how that affected your language in ASL. And those things did help me to become a real life woman, but they aren't something I can be defined about. So honesty is very important to incorporate in your career and life. And it's kind of like a shell over a deaf person and trying to act like and be an actress like a hearing person. And that shell comes upon again, and you're unsure what to do, and you're just kind of lost as an actress. And to prevent that, there's different ways. For example, one thing that could be successful, so in a movie I love, so I was thinking different ways to become successful. And my parents' stories and hearing about that, and there's lots of different actors that I was trying to watch and get some tools to use. And they were a big influence for me and two actors that were deaf that I looked up to. I really honored their work, and so one time I interviewed them and asked them, how is it possible to become a skilled deaf actress? They advised me and helped me to be more open minded, and that really influenced me a lot and inspired me to grow in my acting skills. What I want to emphasize is the purpose of a story and acting out that story. In American society, there's different people that are deaf and that have different experiences all around the world. And it's important that that person is honest. So, first, access. Second is honesty. It's important to have equal access and honesty for everyone. And it's really important that deaf actors don't always have to play deaf characters. And it doesn't matter if you're hearing or deaf or what kind of background you have, those previous experiences are irrelevant. And it should just matter on how you audition in the skills that you show in that time. Again, equal access. So what will push me over the line? I will tell you. Development in the community for equal access and everyone to be seen the same. And realizing that everyone has a different way of thinking and different way to access each aspect. And it's important that just general actors and actresses encourage other actresses to do the same. And third, I want to tell you a story. And talk about the actor Patrick. And he was in a star of several movies, and I want to tell you a story about that. When you're interacting with different actors, it's really important to not internalize everything that you guys talk about. That emotion is always with that person and always surrounding them. And it's important to be honest and kind to every actor, whether they're hearing or deaf. And many actors are very sensitive and nervous before an audition. And that happens a lot before you're able to increase your acting skills to become successful.